Hello, folks. Welcome to the Night's Watch. I'm Jacob.
I'm Alex.
And Alex, it is trade deadline season.
Mm-hmm.
Deadline
less than a week away.
Yeah, next Friday, I
Yep.
think.
5 days away. Today's the 2nd.
Yeah, we had a few trades already. It's starting to take shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? I'll let you lead off.
It's starting now. I think and who's been traded and what's been traded for. Like, look at like the Nyquist trade. Went to the Wild for a second. I think that bodes well for value for guys that we've been talking about. And obviously we're talking about this in the lens of we went 1-1, but both games were kind of both games were sloppy defensively and majorly sloppy goaltending wise, and the goaltender that played both was Ilya Samsonov.
Yeah, I think we both at the end of each game we're both like we got to do something. Trade for I don't know, like trade for a goaltender, try out Schmid, try out Lynn, I don't know, but like he's been progressively getting worse over the season after starting off so well and doing well in that even split that he and Hill had, and then even coming in and playing a few more games when Hill wasn't playing as well. He up until the end of the year last year, up until end of December, he was like above a .915 save percentage. Yeah,
he was having a pretty damn good year, and then obviously for the team as a whole, January was awful, right?
Oh, yeah,
but he didn't make it better.
Yeah,
like here's the difference. Like I know Samsonov was supposed to always start against the Blackhawks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he had to start against the Kings because Hill was sick or didn't feel well.
That Four Nations flu.
Yeah, but Hill did play against the Canucks that game before.
Oh yeah,
and he looked great. And we say your goaltender needs to make some saves to keep you in the game. That's exactly what Aiden Hill was doing in that Canucks game. And there's some shots in both the Kings game. Again, the defense didn't play good enough. But in the Kings game and the Blackhawks, there are some goals that were easy. Like
to me, the Blackhawks one is
worse.
That game was really because
the Kings, a lot of those, it happens because Kings are a really good team.
They are. Then I looked at a lot of those goals because like I turned that game off before it ended because I'm like, this is over. And then I think it was I missed the last goal.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, did we pull the goal? And like, no, they just scored on us even.
Yeah, it just came. Kevin Fiala or somebody came straight at Samsonov. Fucking backhand roofed it. I'm like,
just completely uncontested.
Yep.
And I think there was another one where it was just like a completely uncontested cross crease pass, and everyone's like, oh, fucking Samsonov, and I was like, I hate to break it, but fucking
that was defense.
Vasilevsky wouldn't have saved that.
No.
That being said, it has been a trend, and that Blackhawks game was. I feel like we had such a sense of relief when we went up 5-1 in the first period.
Yeah.
Like, oh, thank God, we can at least
breathe for a minute.
We can at least put this embarrassingly bad team in its place and, maybe coast a little bit here. But nope, we let them right back in it.
Yeah.
Right back in it.
Yeah.
And because I hate being that guy that blames the goalie, but definitely that was my red flag moment as far as goaltending.
Yeah, we talked about it when we watched it on Thursday. There's two goals that I wouldn't have put on Samsonov. It was that weird, like the puck was like kind of floating just low onto the ice and like double or triple deflected off of sticks and skates and into into the net. I don't put that one on Samsonov. And then the other one was the Foligno wraparound, the Foligno goal that the defense just fucked up on. The one where he wrapped around and he got the rebound, collected it, tapped it in. Those two. He can't save those. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
The other three were just straight up wrist shots, like uncontested, unscreened, just wrist shots that weren't from elite players. It was Bedard.
Exactly. Let's be real. If it was, Austin Matthews or fucking, someone with the fucking piss missile shot.
Yeah.
With the real deceptive release and all that, I'm like, yeah, okay, you're just gonna beat goalies. It's just what you do. But
yeah.
The fucking Blackhawks, man. Like
we're playing half the Rockford Ice Hogs right now.
No, exactly.
He just hasn't. He's rocking out of the last 2 games. He's rocking like a 750, I think.
Well, let me see if I can find that tweet. But Danny Webster asked Bruce about it, and he said something that's like, well, or maybe it was Ken.
Yeah.
But someone was basically like, is it troubling that that Samsonov's let up like 17 goals in like 3 games?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, yeah, he needs to tighten up a bit because obviously he's not going to throw his fucking goalie under the bus. And I do believe that, the team can be better in front of him, but I feel like I have more faith in the team tightening up than the goalie,
Okay, let me give you these stats.
All right, let's hear them.
All right. January 2nd against Philly. Win. 2 goals allowed, 920. Good game. Against San Jose, another win. 2 goals allowed, 905. Decent game. Rangers. He actually played very well in this game against the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
A loss. He only allowed 2 goals, 923. That's a good game and a loss. Nashville. This is where this all starts getting kind of going downhill. Nashville, 4 goals allowed, 818. Chicago, the first time, 5 goals allowed. So he's allowed, against Chicago, the worst team in the league, he has a 5 GAA right now.
Yeah. Also, real quick, I found that number. It's been 13 goals in his last 3 starts.
Yeah, it was 5-5. Yeah, 13. So, yeah, 5 against, and then St. Louis, he allowed 2, had an 8-8-2 because they had a low volume of shots. And that was the defense. That's thanks to the defense limiting those shots. Columbus lost in overtime. He allowed 2 goals, 917. But then you get to February. Islanders allowed 2 goals on 14 shots, 857. He won against Boston, but had 3 goals on 24 shots, 875. And then LA, 5 goals on 19 shots, 737. Chicago, 5 goals on 22 shots, 773.
I don't know what site you're on, but can you see his GSA anywhere?
I can find it. But it's not good. And Aiden Hill had some bad stretches, but I don't think it was that bad. I mean, yeah, maybe obviously without Shea Theodore is a big deal, right?
Yeah, and then,
he's done a lot, and then Petro is clearly nursing something or not playing as well as he should be.
Yeah, I think that was the big point of focus too. So I feel like the last few years, like even in the Cup year, people are like, "Well, Theodore is our best defenseman," and in those years, I'm like, "No, he's not." Like Pietrangelo is still clearly the number one. The Cup run, he was amazing. Like he was amazing.
Samsonov's right now GAA is 291, so not awful, right? But I think he's.
Do you see? Do they have his GSA?
GSA. Let me see. His GSA. Ooh, his GSA right now is negative 8.6.
Yeah, that's the troubling
awful.
one. That's the troubling one because that's the one that kind of accounts for what you should and should not save.
Yeah,
still subjective, but yeah, that's troubling. But what I was gonna say was, for a long time, I feel like people have been. I don't know why people just really hate Pietrangelo. It seems, but he's clearly been our number one, and people are like, "Well, no, it's Theodore." I'm like, "No, it's Petro." But this year, this is the first year where it did truly feel like I'm like, "No, I think
he's moving up."
Yeah, so yeah, this is the year where I'm like, Theodore was carrying the mail all year, right?
I'm going to give you the players in front of Ilya Samsonov and worst GSA.
Okay.
Well, finish your thought, and then we'll talk more about Samsonov.
Yeah. So Theodore really stepped up this year. We lose him. That's brutal.
Yes.
Petro is still the number 2.
Yeah.
And he still plays like fucking 25 minutes a night.
Yeah.
He's clearly nursing something.
Yes.
He missed the 4 Nations, which I think he was loath to do.
Yeah, I think
people kind of laughed it off.
He's probably lost a little speed and lost step, depending on what that injury is.
I think he's dealing with something like a groin injury.
It's got to be because you kind of watch him skate in not so much when he enters the offensive zone, because I think it's more of his size and his positioning is what gets him good there. Because he had a great goal. I think it was a deflection. It was the Barbie second goal or something, but he had a great play. That goal, and he great shot, great play, great way to keep it
in.
in.
He's still sharp.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he
but
still has all those skills.
Coming backwards into the play to play defense to cut somebody off, it just looks like he's like a half step behind. Not mentally, but like just because he physically can't do it.
Yeah.
Because there's something wrong when he stretches the skate out or when he moves a certain way. He's feeling that pinch or that pull or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and you know how it is when you hurt something or you're sick or whatever, like it takes a toll, like physically and mentally. Like it is hard to stay sharp in a close game down the stretch when you're
oh yeah.
When you're hurting, you know.
Yeah, he's also 34. It's like we always make that joke. It's like you and I are 33. And yeah, that's young, right? For in the grand scheme of things,
bro. I got out of bed the other day and I almost fell over because I got dizzy because I got up too quick.
Yeah, and that's us, just normal people, right? And the normal little things we deal with. Imagine being. I
put up the St. Patrick's Day decorations in the office, and I got sweaty.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, how's that breath?
Imagine the physical toll on your body that fucking Petrangelo's like 34, like 25 years, 28 years of hockey in general.
Played over 1,000 NHL games.
And then like 15 plus years of high level hockey.
Yeah.
Does on your it takes a toll. And
yeah, so suddenly we're in this position where if we're saying Theodore kind of took the mantle as number one this year, well, there's your number one.
Mm-hmm.
And even if he didn't, and you still want to say Petro's a number one, well, he is also hurt. So
yeah,
you're missing one. The other one's playing through something.
And
then you're kind of in this position of like, well, what are you left with? And
that also means that Hanifin needs to step up more, though, too. Like,
they brought 100%.
They brought him in and they paid him good money.
They paid him Theodore money, and he has flash moments. He has brief moments of brilliance and great, just both two-way play. And there's just some moments where you're like, he just has these lapses.
What are you doing,
yeah,
dude?
he just has these lapses, and it's just really. And because you're right, it does feel like, you know, he'll have a stretch where I'm like, I'm almost afraid to say it out loud because I know it's going to jinx
hear you,
it.
yeah.
Exactly, but I'm like, man, Hannifin's been really,
his brain.
Yeah, like man, Hannifin's been really good, and then he just does something,
it's just boneheaded.
Yeah, and then suddenly it's in the back of the net, and we're like, and then you know you go on fucking the internet and you see a post like, oh, you know, Hannifin's been on the ice for the last fucking 8 goals against, and you're like, fuck, like,
yeah. Yeah, it's not so much like even like it's not the pairing either. He's had these issues with Pietrangelo, with Haig, and with Whitecloud, but again, it's his first year in the system. It takes time. It's gonna take time.
Even cause speaking of Pietrangelo, even his first year,
he took time. Yeah,
I feel like that's where a lot of people's notions of him are still ill-informed because that first year he wasn't bad, but he wasn't quite the Alex Pietrangelo.
He wasn't the $8 million player
that we were all expecting.
That just
you know,
won a cup in St. Louis,
and so it took a year, but then after the next year, he was right back to being a high-end defenseman.
I don't think you can give up on Hanifin yet. I mean,
oh yeah, definitely not. I'm not saying trade him.
Look how good he was. Aside from that one game, the OT winner game in the Four Nations, he was really good that entire Four Nations.
He was
like that first game against Canada. He was just out there murdering the McDavid, like just marking them, following them, taking the puck away, not allowing anything. He looked great. I'm
hoping that bodes well for the playoffs. I'm hoping once
he knows that high level
exactly, because I feel like hockey players, man, like when they smell the blood in the water, they're like, oh,
yeah, it's time. Yeah, it's time to go.
This isn't like a distant concept anymore. Like I can win a cup right fucking now.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and I'm sure he wants to do that. I mean, I still think our defense is really good. I know losing Theodore for probably till right before the end of the season, if not for until game 1 of the playoffs. But
so we'll talk about that when we talk about the trade deadline.
Yeah,
how we think they'll approach it.
Yeah, and I'm still happy with Korczak. I mean, he's had some offensive chances where he's shooting it in, and I think he got an assist on or maybe almost did, but he's like shooting it in, and that thing is fucking coming off his stick like a goddamn missile.
Kid can shoot. Kid can skate.
He can skate. He rushes the net too. He's big. He can skate.
And maybe that's the silver lining in all this, right? You know, Korczak finally gets some games, and I mean, last year when he played for 2 or 3 months, like he was becoming like. I was like, yeah, man, like I'm comfortable with him on the second pair.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's a guy that, if you happen to lose Haig because you can't pay him, or you'll lose a player. You're like, okay, we got Kane Korczak. It's not, you're not deep diving into fucking the trenches of what the Rangers are dealing with. Like, we have casually. I showed you the other day. It was fucking. I don't even remember who was paired with Keandre Miller. It was hilarious. What?
Yeah.
Like just hilariously bad.
We just traded for Calvin DeHaan.
Yeah.
We have Urho Vakanainen on the bottom pair.
Yeah, exactly. Like it you look at it in perspective of it's like, okay, yeah, we lose Theodore again, huge. And he's like a guy that is a completely game changer for the teams. Like same thing with Hughes too. Like look how Vancouver's playing. It's not great. But I think in the meantime they can absorb it. I mean,
they can, but
they
I
have
feel like
to play better. The defense has to be better.
That's to play better as a unit.
Yes. Overall, yes.
Because one of those goals against, I think it was the LA game, it was kind of a fuck up on Sod.
Yeah. I remember that goal.
Fucking looking for offense, and puck hit him in the back of the skate and fucking went back into the zone. We're like, okay, buddy, well maybe you should focus on getting it out first.
Yeah, get it out before you look at offense. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like I'm kind of. This has just been a weird year, a weird 2 years. I think we're a little better off this year so far than last year.
Yeah.
Results wise,
and that's the biggest thing too. Is like the results wise, you don't like getting scored on 5 against fucking the Blackhawks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you still won the game.
As Cassidy said,
still in first in the Pacific.
As Cassidy said, he's like it wasn't perfect, but you can never overlook when you're in the win column.
And then that's also the big thing. We talked about it with some of the guys at Mojave the other night. After that game, they're like, how does something like this happen? Are both like the parity. Even with Chicago, if they can just get you in a track meet and get you going, they can come and beat you. Like the parity in the league is the highest it's ever been. Like the more money a team can spend, the better the product on the ice is going to be league wide. Like
yes,
once everybody can spend the same money. Now, will they spend the same money? Not if you're Buffalo, but
they won't, and most of them, in my experience, won't spend it wisely.
The teams that will want to spend are going to spend, and that's going to lead to better parity. Look at the fucking Blue Jackets. Obviously, they're playing for Gaudreau, right? Mm-hmm. That's their big thing. But they've been good. Ruzlinkins has been good. Their offense has been very good. Defense has been good. That team's just been downright good. Ottawa's been good. As much as we make fun of them, Montreal can beat almost every team any given night. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of parity in the league, and it's gonna get it's gonna grow because you would hope most owners, a majority of them at least, spend the money to be competitive.
Some of them do not. I forgot who I heard say it, but it was like a player or a GM or someone. But someone said one thing people don't want to talk about is some owners want to win. A lot of owners, they do not give a fuck about winning. They just don't. As long as they're in the green, that's all they care about.
Money. As long as they're making money, they don't care. I mean, look at Toronto. I mean, they have a competitive team almost every year, but it's the same shit every year. We're like, oh, we're making fucking billions of dollars hands over fist. You guys are going to these games all the time, and then you're buying all this merch.
We are selling a lot of Mitch Marner jerseys.
Yeah. So, let's bring them right back. But yeah, I mean, and then back to Samsonov. I'm gonna give you the goaltenders in front of him who have a worse GSAA.
So we'll see what kind of company he's keeping.
So number 1 in the league. You want to guess who has the worst GSAA?
Philip Grubauer.
Not right now.
Oh,
Alexander Georgiev, negative 22.1.
22. Jesus.
Then we have Philip Grubauer, negative 19.4. Also in the AHL, Canyon Primo, out of the league entirely, negative 16.3. Connor Ingram, negative 10.8. Alexei Kolosov, negative 10.7. Peter Mrazek, negative 10.6. Vitek Vanacek, negative 10.3. Tristan Jarry, out of the league entirely, -10. Spencer Martin, -9.7. Archer Silovs, -9.3. Daniil Tarasov, -9.3. Ilya Samsonov, -8.6.
Yeah, that's not good. Because a lot of those guys currently aren't playing in the NHL.
Yeah, he has a worse GSAA than Ivan Fedotov, Alex Nedeljkovic.
That's brutal.
Big Save Dave Riddick. Justice Noonan. Billy Husso. Samuel Urson. Jeremy Swayman. Daniel Voldar.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's not.
It's good. Not good. He's got a worse GSA than Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner is a -3.7.
Yeah,
and Stuart Skinner has not been good this year.
Nope.
So it's not. It's not.
That's not something you can ignore.
That's meaning that all that means he is not saving goals to help his team.
He's not. But then we have that discussion about the defense and the team play, and I'm just like, to me, it almost feels. I feel like we almost need help at every position, basically.
Yeah. You can.
And granted, we're banking on Carlson and Theodore coming back, and that'll hopefully bolster us back to closer to what we were in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of red flags with this team. In years past, I would say red flags like these would have me saying yeah, we're not doing shit. The only reason I think we might be able to do something this year is because seemingly, as you said with the parody, seemingly every other team in the league also has glaring holes in their roster and major red flags.
Look at the Jets dropped I think 2 in a row after having 11 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to the Flyers in overtime, and they lost another game I think on Thursday, and that's Jets. They're the President's Trophy. They're in the lead. They're leading the league by a large margin. And the Capitals, as good as they've been playing, they have scoring issues, depth scoring issues. They have depth defense issues. There's not one just absolutely dominant, or not even I would say 5 absolutely dominant. No way you're going to stop them.
It's because usually there's that handful of just creme of the creme teams who are these guys are in a different league.
You're rolling everybody over and steamrolling them almost every given night. It's just not. It's not this. That doesn't exist this year with anybody.
Yeah, because this year it's speaking from the West point of view, but you look at the Edmontons and the Colorados and the Vegas, and it's fair to say they all have things with their roster where you look at it and you're that's what they're rolling out with?
Yeah, they all have vital flaws, right?
Yeah.
With us, it's oh man, Brandon Saad on the first line, but he's playing pretty well, right?
Yeah.
You would need a couple of winger depths, pieces on the winger side. Defense, I think we're fairly okay. It just needs to execute the plan better. You look at the goaltenders, you're oh, but then you go to look at Edmonton, and this is the top 3 teams in the Pacific right now: Edmonton, us, and LA. You go look at Edmonton, and Edmonton's goaltending has been bad, bad. And Bouchard, we just watched that video. Yeah. Bouchard does not play defense. He is not borderline. Awful. He is unplayable in his own zone.
Yeah, just complete lack of effort and awareness.
Just doesn't care, doesn't have his head up, doesn't even try to play defense. He's just there to shoot the puck in and play offense.
Just because it was so hilarious, I'll repeat Steve Dangle's quote. He's he looks like he won a contest.
Yeah.
Hey kid, you want a contest? You want to play one game with the Edmonton Oilers?
Yeah, it's they gave him a Make-A-Wish kid to play a 1 minute before the actual game started to play defense.
It's what do I do? It's just kind of stand there.
Stand there.
Okay.
Yeah. Just don't try. Don't put any effort. Don't try to skate. Have no explosive. Just stand there straight-legged, knees locked.
Yeah, it's kind of
holding your stick between your fucking dick and
it's kind of lazily glide around. Yeah, and then
all the rest of that defense is not deep at all, right? And then their forwards after the top 6, not even the top 6, after the top 4 maybe are really bad. Guys, guess what? Turns out Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson, they're still bad.
What?
Who would have guessed that this wouldn't have turned them into an elite scoring team, as those guys were your second line wingers? Oh, Who could have thought that Jeff Skinner, who hasn't done shit in fucking 3 years, would have done anything with Edmonton? Who thought perennially injured Victor Arvidsson would have done anything?
Alex, Jeff Skinner is an elite scorer, okay? It's just that evil coach in Buffalo put him on the fourth line once, like 4 years ago, and that's why that explains it all.
Yeah. They have obvious weaknesses. Like LA, their defense is good and their structure is good, but
they can't really score.
They can't really score. They scored against us because they just got hot. But like sometimes if they can't score, they're like a lot like us. Where if we can open it up, we'll be like potting everything in. But if we can't get past the goaltender or can't do shit, we're scoring one and it's gonna be fucking nothing.
Yeah, and if we're just looking at it, not even getting into the specifics of who's on what roster, just looking at results. Well, after the Four Nations break, Edmonton lost 5 in a row.
Yeah, and then beat Carolina, right?
Yeah, and then LA, I'm pretty sure the only game they won was the game against us, and I think they've lost like 3 or 4 other games in the stretch.
So all of us aren't, those top 3 in the Pacific aren't doing that hot right now.
We're not. It's kind of a snail's race to the
also,
end.
like, we went 2-1, but Edmonton losing 5 in a row, and then LA losing all but the one that they beat us in isn't good. But that would be if Vancouver and Calgary were actually doing anything, right?
Yeah, which
they're not.
Vancouver has also been bad since they came back. I think they also have won 1 game since the break.
And they lost to fucking Seattle last night.
And then Quinn Hughes left the game early last night.
Jesus, he just came back. Good Lord. If Vancouver had any push or Calgary had any push, they could be in that 3rd spot, right? I just don't see it from the games I've seen.
I don't see it from that game, and I think it might go the other way. I think they're in serious.
They might lose serious Utah, right?
Risk of Utah or St. Louis have been
sneaking up. They've been good.
I said on the opposite side, they've been surging.
They've been pushing, and you could have. I think we talked about it earlier in the season. You could have 5 Central teams make the playoffs, right?
Oh yeah.
And if we're the number 1 seed, we get what wild card? Not the number 1 overall. I'm sorry, 1 Pacific. We would get wild card 1, which would be Colorado.
Yeah.
I low key kind of want to finish 2nd or go on a run. Either finish 1st in the West entirely or finish 2nd in the Pacific, because Colorado is just somebody scary is looming in that 4th spot.
Exactly. It's gonna be like what happened last year where we played Dallas, but just flipped the positions.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they weren't happy about being like, oh fuck, Vegas in the first round.
Exactly. And look at how fucking tough that series was, and
brutal 7-game series, and then they ran out of steam.
Yeah. It happens. You get a bad matchup, and you may win, but if it's a grind him out, fucking brutal matchup, you're not going to stay in that long.
Yeah, I feel like people always forget that the playoffs last for like 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Was that COVID or right after COVID? I think it was right after COVID, because we were in San Diego, and we were getting through the Minnesota series, and that was brutal. Mm-hmm. And then we played Colorado.
Yeah.
And we went to games, and that was brutal. And then you get the fucking Stars, I think, in that Western Conference final.
No, that was Montreal.
Oh, it was the COVID. Yeah, and you get Montreal, who had to play nothing. They played fucking, pansy ass Canadian teams.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't want to be a sore loser and say like, well, we only lost because we were so tired and beat up. But we
lost because we were so tired and beat up.
That, and then when you play a team that has a strong goaltending, strong defense, and was playing a style at the time that was just meant
playing.
Yeah, and they had Phil Deneau and Shea Weber, and they were playing a style that was really about smothering chances, because like a lot of those games, like at the end, a lot of them were like 2-1
tight games,
and then you look at the shots, and it's like, oh, the shots are like 14-9.
They're brutal games.
Yeah, it was, and point being, I think part of it was that we hit a wall after 2 brutal opening series.
Yeah,
and
I mean, because like now you're starting. I think a big thing that
I feel like the conference finals, in a lot of ways, that's usually the toughest round, right? Because it's like you're really trying to get over that hump, and then once you get to that hump, you're like, I think it's a little easier for guys to be like, okay, guys, just one more. We're in the finals, man.
You just have to string together a couple good games, and it's over.
Because even the year we won the cup, we won the first 3, but then Dallas came back in, and then it was starting to feel like, are we losing steam here?
Yeah.
And then the year that Dallas did beat us, that was, I think, also in the conference finals of the actual bubble.
Yep.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, that was the year they lost to Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Montreal lost to Tampa Bay too.
Point being, I think this is going to be a weird year, and I think it's
it's going to be a lot. It's going to be
it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard to come out of the West, which is why I think anything we do at the deadline needs to have that in mind.
Yeah, and I also think that coming up to the deadline, because that's our next topic is trades. I think what Kelly does well, in finding some of these value trades is he's making these trades knowing, what matchup he's planning for the playoff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at last year. I think he kind of knew, we're like, okay, we're going to face someone hard. I need to get a big center, and I need to get another good puck-moving two-way defenseman. And he went out and got it. The cup run, he's like, I just need depth. I need guys that can fill in when they fill in. This team is good. I just need extra bodies. And he did that well. And I think this year, the needs are obviously you probably would want a bottom to middle pairing defenseman, right? If you can find it.
Well, like I said, it almost feels like we need something at every position.
You want
almost.
a bottom middle pairing defenseman, and those aren't one. I don't think those are that many out there that would be willing to be moved, or would the team would move them, or if they cost too much. Like I said, the only guy that like really made any sense was Henry Yokiharu is on, I think, a expiring deal, and he's only got like $3-something million. Because you're not trading for Rasmus Anderson, right? It's too expensive. It's too rich.
And then Calgary feels like they have a chance, so I don't think they're selling.
Yeah, and like maybe Seattle, you can get, I don't know who, but they just re-signed Adam Larson. They just re-signed Vince Dunn, and they have money invested in those guys, and you can't pay them in the future, right?
Yeah.
And then you like look at the Blackhawks and you look at some of these bad teams. It's like some of them just don't have it. Have that extra guy, or if they do have a guy, he's playing top pair minutes and they want to keep him.
Exactly. And I think
like maybe San Jose would trade us Jake Wallman. I would, because he would be a trade piece, but I think he likes playing in San Jose.
Yeah,
and I think they like him.
Exactly. Well, I was going to say, because I thought of San Jose too, because we obviously have done business with them in the past, and that's usually a good indicator of future trades.
Yes.
But the one I was looking at was like, do they give up Mario Ferraro? But then part of me is like, well, I don't know how much they're even going to sell. I mean, obviously they will sell, and they have sold, but I think they're also looking at their young guys and like, hey man, these guys play a good game every night, and at a certain point you have to stop tearing down and start building, because
you have to be.
You don't want to be Chicago.
Yeah.
You don't want to be Chicago where you're like, oh fuck, well we thought it was time to start getting better, and it turns out it's not quite that easy to just sign a couple of free agents and suddenly you're back in it.
Yeah, totally. And that's a good point. It's like, do they even want to move some of those guys? Like,
because I'm like, Mike Ferraro's been like a great fit there. Like I was almost surprised that they moved Granlund.
Yeah,
because
he's been so good with them.
Because that was a great fit.
Yeah. I mean, I could see. I don't think Ferraro. I think maybe Wallman more than Ferraro. Because he is, I think, on an expiring deal. And like people talking about like big trades, like I'm like, Buffalo's not going to move Rasmus Dahlin. They're not going to move Owen Power.
They might move Alex Tuck.
Who I would love to have. But like defensively, like you're looking at like more middle bottom pairings here and there.
The one guy, and I didn't put him on my list, but Bowen Byram.
Yeah, they're shopping him for some reason.
Well, I think it's because they have all this money tied up in their decor already, because they gave Owen Power that huge extension.
Yeah.
Dahlin's locked up.
Yeah.
Who's the other guy? The defensive guy, Samuelson. He's locked up.
Yep.
And I even remember when that trade happened, the Middlestat Byram trade. I was kind of like, my first thought was, why did you guys trade for another defenseman?
Another young defenseman that's going to need a contract.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of baffled by it. I don't think he's a UFA this year, but
I don't think it's too long, and he's only making like 3 point something.
Yeah, they had him on a good. Colorado had him on a good contract,
and he's
like
only
23
years.
Yeah.
He's only 23. He's like
young.
He's at the cusp of
you literally play him on a bottom pair or play. He's good though too. Like it's not like he's bad. And then another name I saw, but again, are they going to sell? Columbus. I saw Provorov, but why would you sell right now? You're in a playoff position.
Yeah, I wouldn't sell. And
I wouldn't sell if I was
also,
Columbus.
frankly, I wouldn't be interested in Provorov. The stats aren't great.
No.
And also, he's an asshole.
Yeah, and then one I saw that was interesting, but he's injured, is Ristolainen on Philly. He's really turned himself around. I think that's mainly because of Tortorella. But, like, again, we're talking about, like, there's other teams going to be after these guys, too.
Yeah.
They will bid more than what we have. And they're going to, they
will, and then it's really a seller's market because I don't know about you. I think you said something earlier where maybe you felt the opposite. But when I saw that it took a second to get Nyquist, I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of pricey." Second for Gustav Nyquist. I thought that was going to be like a third or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they retain salary too, so maybe that was
but
why.
I think the big thing with Nashville though is Nashville, I think, also has a lot of picks. I think coming up, and they could afford getting rid of some of those. Like look at the Seth Jones trade. That he went to Florida for Spencer Knight, a first, and Chicago retained like 25% or something like that.
Yeah. Basically $2.5 million. So
he's only getting paid 7.5.
I was wrong on that one because he was getting 9.5. So I think that takes him down to just a flat 7.
Hey, that's
not bad.
That's a good. That's exact value for Seth Jones.
I agreed.
Exact value for what Seth Jones.
Because I think people have gotten so used to Chicago being a shit show that and laughing at that contract, like, Jones sucks. Well, he doesn't suck. He's just
on a terrible fucking team.
Yeah, he's fucking trying to drink from a fucking fire hose. He's
playing with children and fucking plugs on defense. Like,
exactly.
Like, what do you want him to do?
Exactly. And yeah, he got overpaid.
Absolutely. That nine and a quarter. It's too much.
That will forever change everyone's perception about a player.
Yep.
I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it. Everyone's guilty of it. Because your first thought is like, $9.5 million for that? Jesus.
That's a big thing with us with Nurse too.
Exactly.
Nurse is a serviceable defenseman. Like,
if he was making like $5 million,
we wouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah, you're like, okay, he's a piece,
he's
whatever.
He's a pairing guy. He's fine, but he's getting paid so fucking much to be nothing.
He's getting paid to be the clear number one guy.
Yeah,
and he's not the clear number one guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not even the number 2 guy.
He's barely number 4.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's exact value for Seth Jones. I think that's why the price was so high, right? Because Seth Jones is a very good player. He does everything defensively, does everything offensively. Great shot, runs the power play. Kind of does something that Florida didn't have, right?
They looked a little thin on D this year.
Yeah.
I know Forsling had his coming out party last year.
Ekblad's been all right.
Yeah, Ekblad's kind of the last few years. But not really in that number 1 defenseman category.
Now you have a number 1 guy. He can run the power play. Now you're good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they sent Spencer Knight back. That's a lot. I mean, that's a huge.
Well, we were joking about it, but we're like, wait, who's even their number 3? And you're like, guess. And I'm like,
no, he's not their number 2. It's their number. It was their number 3. He's their number 2 now.
Exactly.
Fucking Chris Dreiger.
Exactly. We're like, well, he's who's next in line? We're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it's thin.
That's risky.
Yeah.
If Bobrovsky either 1 gets injured or
pulls
2 does his annual thing of where he forgets how to play hockey for 2 months, then
you're kind of screwed. Like, they're in first right now.
I was going to say maybe they were thinking like, well, even if we collapse, we'll
still be in third place because how dog shit the rest of this.
Exactly. We'll still make it. We'll still make it.
Yeah.
Then we'll count on some playoff magic.
Yeah, but I don't think you're gonna see a trade that big, right?
No, I think it's
gonna be a lot of mid-level guys. So
Alex, didn't you know that Mikko Rantanen is on the verge of being traded to 14 different teams?
Yeah, every team that's calling is gonna get him traded to him per every single reporter ever, and then fucking Pierre LeBrun's like, well, actually, I think I'm like, shut up here, you.
Yeah. I think we talked about it a little bit the other day. I don't think we did it on the pod.
Yeah.
But to me, like, is it this whole thing of like, well, are they going to flip him? Or are they going to flip him? Like, is this just not fucking like ridiculous?
It's ridiculous. Like here's what you do. You give him offers.
Mm-hmm.
Give him multiple offers. You hit a top. If there's a top and you can't go past it and he wants more, say, you know what, Miko? You're on this team until the off season. You're not going anywhere. You might as well play. And then come off season, if you don't want to be here, then don't be here.
Or you know what you're really telling them, like, hey, you want that money?
Go out and show me you want that. Yeah.
Well, let's win a fucking cup.
Yeah.
Let's win a fucking cup, buddy.
If you can get us to a cup and you can get us to either close to winning or winning, we'll talk about more money. But until then, and it's not like they didn't give him a small offer. It was rumored to be in the hundreds of millions. Like a 9-figure offer.
Plus, let's not overlook they're the only team that can give him the 8th year. So they can spread that money out one more year, keep the cap hit a little lower. Yeah. But the total dollars, you're going to make more in Carolina than you will anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'd be dumb for him not to take that deal. I mean, the problem with Colorado is like they were like, oh well, we probably wouldn't be able to pay him and Cale Makar and maybe another guy or bring people in, but then the cap just now going up, and now you're like, oh, we could have done all that.
Yeah, and I feel like people don't, because when that deal happened, people were just like baffled, and I'm like, I'm not baffled at all, because this team is thin. They've been thin for a while. Yep. I know in the offseason during our previews, you and me kind of popped off. I'm like, why do people still think they're this juggernaut? Because guess what, guys? Fucking, yeah, it's great to have McKinnon and Rantanen, but they can only be on the ice for so much.
Yeah, like that. The bottom 6 was brutal.
Yeah, and I'm like, you need a goalie, and fucking Makar can only be on the ice for so many minutes.
They lucked into how good Blackwood's been, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because he obviously has great underlying stats, and that's why they made that trade. Is they're like,
yeah, very smart trade, great trade.
San Jose is not going to pay him. He's on the block. Let's go get him. And they went and got him, and then got a pretty good backup. That was great for them. But it doesn't change the fact that their depth is still bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jack Drury, great, but they still have bad depth. And that their defense outside of like that top 3 guys isn't really that great anymore.
Yeah.
Like the bottom pairing is kind of ridiculous. Like,
well, I think they waived him or moved him, but remember when they brought in our old friend Eric Brandstrom
and Oliver Gillington, remember?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they started with, and now
they've got
now that they made another move for Ryan Lindgren.
Who's been dog shit. Well, we joked about like you with the Rangers, like what do you get with Calvin DeHaan and trading out Ryan Lindgren? Turns out you actually get a lot more with Calvin DeHaan than you get with Ryan Lindgren.
So yeah, we looked at the stats. We're like, oh damn, I didn't realize. I knew Lindgren was having a down year. I didn't think he was like statistically one of the worst defensemen in the league.
Borderline barely above replacement.
Yeah.
Like he's been awful, all stats pointing to. So maybe that is an upgrade for the Rangers, but like that's a downgrade for the Avs, right? Like,
yeah, their scouting team must think that
they can find something.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Yeah. And so that's like kind of like what you have for defense. And then like going into forwards, I think obviously we need wingers, right? But where are you going to get them from? And you're going to go for depth. And we've talked about guys, over and over, guys like Tanev and McCann and Eberle up in Seattle. And
one point I was going to make on the Rantanen on the Rantanen talk was why do they keep talking about this? Why are they talking about this? Yeah. Well, they're talking about this because the 2 biggest trades of the year were Rantanen and Miller. They both happened already. Yeah. They happened before the 4 Nations.
Yep.
And now it's the trade deadline, and you look at everyone's trade board, and who's the number 1 guy? Brock Nelson. Wow. And I'm not saying Brock Nelson is a bad player. He's certainly not a bad player, and he'd be a great ad. But
yeah, he's not headlines, right?
If you're Sportsnet and you're like, okay, let's do our trade deadline special where our anchors sit at a desk for fucking 14 hours and talk.
And
the fuck are you going to talk about?
Yeah, the trade's Brock Nelson. The only reason
they have nothing to talk about. That's the only reason people are even pretending that Rantanen's going to get moved. But we all know goddamn well he is not going to get moved.
Oh my god! Sorry, I was watching that play. Pasta Pasta went through 5 fucking wild players by himself.
I was going to say this almost feels like a playoff game. Very tight checking.
Yeah.
I think it's because both teams are desperately holding on here.
Yeah, but like it's. I don't think this year's going to be exciting. as it was in years past because
No.
again, a lot more teams are in it, right? Like we made it exciting, obviously last year because we picked up Hurdle and Hannafin, and they people going back to say like, oh well, Vegas is always going to do something. They always have some big move in their cards. I'm like, statistically, we don't. Our biggest moves there's been I would say 4 big moves in our team's history. There's the Patches trade, the Stone trade, the Eichel trade, and then last year's trades with Hurdle and Hannafin. Normally, we're trading for depth guys. I mean, we've talked about it in this podcast before. Ivan Barbashev was 4th liner at the time.
Well, exactly. That's what I always go back to. It's like when people talk about fucking February time to put Mark Stone in LTIR. That's how they won the cup. I'm like, oh yeah, we really needed that $9.5 million so we can make the splash move of Teddy Bluger.
Yeah, I've actually
Ivan Barbashev.
I got our trade history pulled up actually because I want to talk about it, like who we've traded for and what we've done. A lot of it was trades at the expansion draft.
Mm-hmm.
But first big trade, we're not including the fucking Tobias Lindbergh for Ryan Reeves deal. First big trade, Tomas Tatar. We traded a third, a second, and a first to the Red Wings. And then 6 months later, before the season started, we flipped Tatar to the Canadiens with Suzuki and a second for Max Pacioretty. That was our first real big trade.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first big one. And then here, our next big one was Mark Stone for Eric Branstrom, Oscar Lindbergh, and a second. Complete fleece. Destroyed Ottawa for a while. Then we got Nick Waugh, right, for Eric Holla. Chandler Stevenson for a 5th. Alec Martinez for 2 seconds. But you also look at this, Chandler Stevenson. He was barely playing for the Caps at the time. Alec Martinez, I think, was a bottom pairing or he's injured. Robin Lehner, when we traded for him, they wanted him out anyway.
That was when Chicago's collapse was beginning.
Yeah. And then, Matthias Janmark for a 5th round pick. Nolan Patrick for Cody Glass. Let's see. Like most of these don't jump off the page other than the Eichel one, huge, right?
Yeah.
But then, you trade Evgeny Danov to Montreal for Shea Weber's rights.
Yeah.
Aiden Hill for a 4th. Ivan Barbashev, that was straight up for Zach Dean, a prospect.
Yeah.
Teddy Bluger for Peter Deliberatory and a 3rd round pick. It's nothing crazy, right? Like we traded Riley Smith away for a 3rd. Like there's been a handful of big trades, but that's not what this team is built on. The team is built on finding depth guys for value, and I think that's what he's going to do again. Like I think
the scouting staff is really good at
pro scouts are great.
Finding a guy and being like, it's not about your name, it's not about the money, that's about who you are in the game you play and are you going to fit on this team.
Yeah, exactly. Every player, I would say from a handful of players, right, it's been few and far between. It's like, Tomas Tatar didn't work out. Anthony Mantha didn't work out. But Anthony Mantha hasn't worked out on a lot of teams.
No. So it's certainly not.
That's not our fault. They saw big size and could skate and, thought he'd be okay.
And last year, I think we were like, well, we're just going to hope that he magically becomes motivated.
Exactly. Maybe he's on a good team. Nope, that's not the case. Yeah, I you know what? Do I think that McCrimmon could always have a big deal in his back pocket? Yes. But I don't think we have the assets.
That's the big thing. We don't have assets or a ton of cap space.
I also don't think we're going to be willing to give up a roster player at this point.
Well, no, because contenders don't want to give up roster players.
No,
that ruins the whole thing of trying to become better.
Yeah, exactly. I unless it's like a 1-for-1 deal, right? Where it's like, say we, for example, I don't know. Let's look at it this way. Say Buffalo's like, fuck it, we're moving on from Tage Thompson, which would be insane.
Mm-hmm.
say they go, okay, you can have Tage Thompson and fucking Beck Malinston or some shit like that if you give us, Holtz, Brisson, a second, and like Nick Waugh. Because that kind of moves the needle for them, right? Because you get a center. I'm not saying I want Nick Waugh gone, but you get a center back that can play up and down the lineup. He's got value. That's what a deal would be like that. But you can't lose some of these players, right? Like you can't lose a Nick Waugh in our system. You can't lose a Keegan Kolesar in our system. Just some of these players are just ingrained into the team, and I think that'd be more of a backward step for the team identity and the team morale overall than bringing in a new guy and saying play with them.
Yeah,
I just think it's gonna be low event.
It's gonna be a low event, but there are guys out there that I think we're gonna do something. Everything they've done signals they're gonna do something.
Yeah, whether that be like we said, whether that be an Alex Tuck, Riley Smith is on the block apparently. You can get somebody from Seattle.
I was gonna say, well, I don't know about you, but I actually did make a wish list here. I know we kind of did this once a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but we're only a few days out.
Yeah, and then this is also keeping in mind. I try to eliminate ones that were like pure fantasy of like, I would love to have fucking so and so.
Keep in mind what we could actually trade, and then what our assets are.
Keeping in mind cap hit assets fit on the team. So first one I put down from the Blackhawks, Ryan Donato.
Yeah, he scored against us the other night. He's looked really good this year, actually.
He's a UFA. He only makes $2 million a year. He's relentless. He's energetic. He scores.
Good player, yeah.
He can play anywhere in the lineup, up and down.
Yep.
He's on the verge of
one of his best seasons, right?
Yeah, I think he's either right at or right below 20 goals for the first time in his career.
He's a rich man's
Daniel Sprong.
Yeah, he's a rich man's Daniel Sprong.
Oh, better than Daniel Sprong.
That's what I mean. He does what you want him to do
without being a huge fucking liability.
Yeah, exactly. He's just a good overall depth piece. I like that.
Yeah, so I think that would be a great winger to have. Did you have names too, or did you just want me to go through mine?
You go for it.
All right. So, yeah, I think to me, as far as ability to get him and impact he could make,
I think we can.
That's probably number one.
How old is he? Do you know?
I should have wrote that down. He's like in his mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
I think.
So he's not too old, not too young.
Yeah, he's a vet, but he's not like an old vet.
And you can also re-sign him if he has a good couple months with us and not for too much money.
As I always say, when we're looking at someone, I'm like, listen, man, I just need you to be as good as Michael Amadio.
Yeah, that's quite literally the bottom, right? Just work as hard and be as good as Michael Amadio.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
And then you will find your way
easily find a place on the team. Yeah.
All right, so my number 2, this one, I don't think it would be a surprise for us because we talked about it already. I think it would surprise the hockey world. Karel Vejmelka.
Yeah, that's a name that we talked about last week because we were watching some videos and listening to some podcasts. Yeah,
it was weird because I feel like it happened like we independently came to this conclusion within a few days of each other. Because I remember, there's hockey YouTube. There's a million fucking trade boards this time of year, and I saw his name and I was like, hang on.
Yeah.
And then like a day later, you text me and you're like, dude, what about Vejmelka? I was like,
he's young. He's taking the net for
he's
Ingram.
He's like 28, I think.
Yeah, but that's all.
He only makes $2.7 million.
And that's the other point is though too is would Utah be willing to part ways?
That's
with him?
The big one. That's the big sticking
because
point.
They are
a week or two ago. I would have said they'll sell him. Now they're surging. I think they're only like. I wrote it down. They're 2 points behind Wildcard 2.
That's it.
But Vancouver does have 2 games in hand. But Vancouver looks fucking awful.
It looks
right
awful,
now.
And Utah looks pretty goddamn good.
Yeah, but he's big. We all know. Huge. We all know we love big goalies in Vegas. He's 6'4", and again on a team that lost its best defenseman for the whole season.
Yeah,
he's rocking a .910 save percentage and a .244 goals against.
Yeah, they lost against Utah last night. They are Utah. Lost against the Devils last night. He had a pretty good game. 26 saves on 29 shots, 897 against a pretty good Devils team. It's not a bad game, and he's they've had a good record. I mean, it you said, would they sell? And that's going to be the big question of like, would they sell, and then what can they get for him? I think they could get a decent amount just for value of a backup goaltender because,
well, and that's the thing. I mean, we talked about it. You mentioned his name earlier, but with how fucking awful Ingram has been, I don't know.
Yeah, it's also would they sell him? And another team to be on the lookout for is Chicago too, because like obviously nobody wants Peter Mrazek, right? Because he's awful. But what do they do with Arvid Soderblom? He's not a bad goaltender.
Oh no,
he's young, and you now have Spencer Knight. He's gonna be the starter.
Yeah,
on that team. Do you need Arvid Soderblom anymore? You can just rock with cheap ass fucking Peter Mrazek right in the line.
That's the thing is I feel like, and I don't have their salaries in my head, but just looking at the age of their group, I think they're going to want to do like what San Jose did when they got Askarov.
True.
They're like, this is a young high-end goalie prospect that can grow with our core. Mm-hmm. I think that's what the hope with Knight is. I think he's a little older than that, but
he's not young. Yeah, he's not old. He's not young, but
I think he's only like 23.
He's not that old at all.
And I feel like goalies don't really hit their stride until they're like 24, 25.
I mean, even 28. Like,
yeah. So I think the idea is that like, okay, this is the guy that we're gonna roll with, and then
he's only 23.
I feel like Mrazek was just like a stopgap when they were like, okay, we're gonna try to go from being awful to being mediocre,
and they were still awful.
Yeah, so I think I don't think they'd be shy about cutting Mrazek loose.
Yeah, I bet who would want him? They'd probably just cut him. But yeah, what other names do you got?
So this is a guy that we talked about before, so we don't have to focus too much on it. But this can, in the spirit of what seems the most likely as far as cost and money and impact on the team. Mm-hmm. Brandon Tanev. I think.
I would love Brandon Tanev. Somewhere in the bottom six would love to have him.
Yep, he's a UFA. He's making $3.5 million. Yeah, you get them to retain
half.
50.
He's under the cap.
Yeah, I forgot to mention at the beginning of this, we have $2.42 million in projected deadline cap space
without potentially putting Theodore on LTIR.
Yeah, because Carlson and Schwint are on LTIR, but from the messaging from the team is that I don't think they expect them to stay on the rest of the year.
No.
The way Cassidy talks about him, he's talking about him like he's expecting him back,
Yeah.
Theodore, on the other hand, I think he could realistically
miss the entire year.
Yeah. But anyway, so 2.42 in space right now with no LTIR fuckery, with the potential of adding Theodore to LTIR.
Yeah, that would be over 7, right?
Yeah. But anyways, Tanev, I just like his game. He's fast, high energy. He seems to get a breakaway once per game that he rarely converts on, but
except for against us.
Love
for him to do it for us.
Exactly. He's a grinder. He kills penalties. Which if that can take some of the pressure off, these top guys we have killing penalties, that would be great. And I think I made this joke, but when I was in Seattle and watching the Kraken game, he was very visible because he was one of the only guys on the team that didn't look like dog shit and looked like he was actually trying and had some spirit and some energy and like he was engaged.
Yeah.
So I would love to have him on. I think he could inject some speed into the lineup.
Yeah, he fit into the lineup perfectly, I think.
I feel like we're always on the verge of becoming a slow old team.
Yeah.
So if we can interject some speed, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, I agree.
Ooh, couple more.
Yeah.
Also Seattle, we talked about him before again, but Yanni Gourde.
Is he still injured or is he back?
He's still injured, but he's expected to be back pretty soon.
Yeah.
And the reason he's a little more expensive, $5.167 million.
You could still get him to retain half and
get him to retain. And I really think that injury could be a blessing in disguise in the sense that I think it would drive his price down.
Yeah.
Because if they're trying to deal him, I think, we could be like, oh, well, you want this, but I mean, come on, we don't know how healthy this guy is. Are you kidding me? Why would we risk that?
Yeah.
I think they could drive his price down to an area where we
like
could,
a third. Yeah,
exactly, where we could afford it, both asset wise and cap wise. But yeah, we talked about it before. He's got great character. He's a champion. He plays two ways. He's a strong skater. He's feisty. He forechecks.
He'd fit really well with like.
He would fit in the system well.
Yeah, I would think he'd fit really well with.
Like, imagine a third line with like Carlson, Saad, and Yanni Gord.
No, I was gonna say I think he'd fit really well with Howden.
Same
guy.
A lot of options.
Yeah,
There's options there.
Because I think that fourth line did play. They were great. I mean, not they were really good against Chicago in that first period.
Mm-hmm.
The entire team wasn't great the rest of the game.
Yeah, they looked fantastic.
But that fourth line of Pearson, Waugh, and Kolesar looked really, really good. And then, like, what if you do a line of like Barbie, Howden, and Gord?
Yeah,
if you get them, that'd be a demon to play against. And that's considering Carlson's. You're waiting on Carlson to come back because you still have Lavoie, right? No, Lavoie was on the fourth line, wasn't he? It was
he
Lavoie.
was.
It was Lavoie.
Because the
Kolesar played that was that third line. That was the line that was nasty.
Yeah.
It was the Barbie Howden Kolesar line was just fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
That was the line I was thinking of. But like, yeah, what if you play Gord? Like, if you get Gord, you play with them, and then, like you said, Carlson will be back. Like,
yeah. So yeah, I think it just gives us a lot more options.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you get like a little firecracker, like, not saying he's little, but he is a short guy. But if you get
not saying he's little, but yeah, he's fucking short.
But if you get a firecracker like Gordon, it changes your lineup so much, right? It makes it gives you a little bit of, even Tanev too, gives you a little bit of an edge, gives you some extra speed, some extra bite.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Cassidy would love both of those guys.
Oh, he would. They're perfect for his system. How many more do you got?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more.
Okay.
But we can get through this quick.
Let's go.
The last two are kind of pie in the sky type ones. I try to rank them in order of like likelihood.
Yeah.
So next, now this guy, he does still have some term. He's not a UFA until 28. Makes $5 million a year. Ricard Raquel. Pittsburgh needs desperately.
Fire.
I don't know how this is possible. I don't think this is Dubas's idea. I think it's Fenway Sports Group. But we need to get younger, but we also still want to contend with this core. Well, buddy, that ain't gonna happen.
Well, I mean,
but if you want a young player, someone that has a history with Sidney Crosby, we have a failed prospect in Henderson that you might want.
We got a couple. You want both of them?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Swedish for Swedish. Like, we got a Swedish kid. You can see he's just younger.
Exactly. So I think and same thing with Seattle, I forgot to mention it, but those are teams that have expressed interest in taking on, like, not prospects per se, but younger projects.
Borderline NHLers that they could turn into NHLers that are younger.
Exactly. Ricard Raquel, I don't know if you remember, but
he had a good tournament too.
He did. And then at the 2022 deadline, apparently we were really gunning for him.
Really? I didn't know that.
Then Pittsburgh kind of swooped in earlier
just to
get
fucking ass blasted in the playoffs.
Yeah. And matter of fact, I think we were going to try to send Dadonov there. It didn't work. And then we ended up trying to send Dadonov again, but for a defenseman who I don't think even plays anymore.
Shea Weber.
No, it was like John Moore or something.
Oh.
Yeah. But that's the one that got voided thanks to...
Oh, yeah, because of the Ducks thing, yeah.
Thanks to the idiot general manager of Ottawa that didn't tell us his no-trade list.
Yep.
But anyway, so supposedly he's been on the team's radar before. He's productive. He's about to have a 30-goal season, hovering, on pace for 30 goals, 60-ish points.
Yeah, that's a great season for him.
He's he has a history of playing with high-end talent, obviously.
Yeah, and he's also a good two-way forward too.
Exactly, and then like I said, I think Pittsburgh would have interest in Brisson or Holtz.
Yeah, I think they need to sell him. I would say Carlson.
Apparently there was a quote where it said like that Dubas would sell Erik Karlsson, quote, in a heartbeat if he got a good offer.
Yeah. No, it's valid. He just hasn't been. I mean, he's not a good defenseman. Period.
He did look good in the Four Nations.
Yeah,
there was a moment there where I was like, oh wow, this is
him playing. Well, he can play defense and
here's the Erik Karlsson that people are always talking about.
Here's Ottawa and San Jose.
But I forgot who they're playing. But even just this morning, he had a fucking bone.
Oh yeah, it was. I
didn't watch it, but I just saw a bunch of
reactions.
Yes,
it was Toronto. Yeah, they played Toronto, and you did something. I'm sure he did something stupid. He does something stupid. It's the Evan Bouchard. Evan Bouchard is now modern day Erik Karlsson,
yes.
And Erik Karlsson's still modern day Erik Karlsson.
What a world.
But yeah, I would love Rickard Rakell. I mean, he's
like I said, he does have term, but only $5 million.
It's not a lot of money.
And in the upcoming cap,
you can get Pittsburgh to retain that.
And in the upcoming cap landscape, that's nothing.
Yeah, especially if you retain it at 50% or even at 25%. With the cap going up, his salary is only $2.5 million, $3 million. On our side.
Yeah, and
for what he brings to the table.
Exactly, and to me that would just be a way to really shore up bottom six scoring.
Mm-hmm. Because you could
or middle six, whatever you want to call it.
Karlsson can come back. You can play him with Karlsson, or you can play him on the second line
with Hurdle
and Dorofiev.
Yeah, because Olsen's kind of fallen off, so I don't know if we keep him.
Olsen can go back in a trade. I don't know.
Yeah, so.
I like that. I like that idea because they need to sell, and I think Dubas is like basically telling Fenway like, yeah, I'll sell everybody that's not named Crosby and Malkin,
and I'll try to get good players back, but
no promises.
Fellas, we need to get younger here.
But what about
we're old and slow?
Brian Rust can die.
What about Brian? Brian Rust is drowning.
What else do you got?
So 3 more.
Yeah.
One more realistic one, and then 2 more that are a little more pie in the sky, but I think are not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
So this one, I have him this low because it sounds like everyone wants a piece of this guy, and I don't know if we have the assets to outbid anyone. / I don't think McCrimmon is stupid enough to spend too much for this guy.
Yeah.
But Trent Frederick from Boston.
Yeah, we've talked about him quite a few times.
Yeah, UFA, only making $2.3 million a year. So he is definitely the definition of like a Vegas / Cassidy type of player.
He's huge.
He's huge. He's physical. He can skate. He checks. And he can chip in offensively. He's kind of having a down year this year, but the whole team is. So
he'd be good on the fourth line. Yeah.
My only thing is, do we need another guy like that? We already have, Howden and Kolesar and Wad, and I feel like we have a lot of players of...
And now Lavoie.
And Lavoie. Like, we have a lot of players of that archetype, and, like, to me, I'm not saying... A lot of teams need guys like this. I don't know if that we do. I think we need scoring.
Yeah, I think we need to prioritize depth scoring over big bodies, right? But, like, also do it mindfully in that knowing that the depth scoring can also play the game. Like Tanev and... like Tanev and Gord and Raquel... All those guys can play Cassie's system, but also score.
Or like in Tano's case, just like I said, really inject that speed.
Yeah, speed and presence and
chaos. You know
exactly. I mean, I don't mind Trent Frederick, but like you make a good case of like, do you really need another guy like that? Do you need, you want more scoring, but then again, that's a piece that's valuable in the playoffs.
Exactly,
that's a body that will run.
I would be thrilled if we got him. Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Like, look at we're watching Dallas is about to start. That's a guy that would run fucking Jamie Benn's head into a wall. Like,
oh yeah, exactly,
and not be afraid to do it.
Exactly. He I think that's why his name's been out there. Is he's not the fanciest of players, but on a playoff run, he would be.
He's a massive.
Yeah,
like look how good look how good Carrier was when he came back in. Like that big body, able to score and also, but like run people through fucking the glass and shit. What are your 2 pie in the skies? What are your 2 big wishes? What are your 2? Santa, please, can you send me?
Santa, can you hear me?
Papa, can you hear me?
Papa, can you hear me? So this one, and I don't know if it's even 2 pie in the sky because apparently Vegas is interested.
I feel like your pie in the skies are relatively normal.
Yeah,
for Vegas.
Instead of people like, is Vegas going to get Mikko Rantanen and Eric Carlson.
Yeah, is Vegas going to trade for somehow?
Well, it's easy. You just put Mark Stone on LTIR, right?
Yeah, is Vegas going to somehow trade for? Oh, Jesus! Oh my God! Did the St. Louis player also go head first?
Holy shit! Yeah.
Oh my God! So Fox, we're watching this game. Foxa
Blues
runs
versus Dallas.
Lundqvist straight head first into the boards. Obviously, boarding call.
Is this happening right now?
It's happening right now.
Jesus.
Oh, and then Foxa goes head first into Lundqvist's fucking back. Holy shit!
Yeah, that's like 2 head contacts there.
And
God
that was
damn.
all that was all Fox's fault.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh my God, that was
Lord.
bad. But yeah, what's your
Oh, sorry. Wait, is he still on Dallas or is he on the Blues now?
He was in the Blues. He used to be on.
Add that to the list. Apparently,
Foxa?
Vegas management has had a hard on for this guy for like years.
I would love Riley
They
Foxa.
kept trying to trade for him.
Well, as long as he doesn't have a concussion right now.
Oh, he might be dead.
He might be dead. Lundqvist hopped right back up and was just kind of like, ugh.
God.
Fox was still knees on the ice going, where am I?
Ah, good Lord.
He was like that. It's like that cartoon thing where like they get a head injury and there's birds flying.
Yeah,
around.
exactly.
That's exactly what it looked like.
Jesus. Tweet. Yeah. Christ. But anyways, so first pie in the sky guy that reportedly we are interested in, the Rat King himself, Brad Marchand. He is.
We've talked about it, and
he is a UFA.
Yes,
he's only making $6.125 million.
Nothing for what he brings.
And here's the thing: both sides have said publicly, "Oh, well, we're not gonna rush." And Brad's saying all the things you want your captain to say. Well, I want to retire here, and it's important to me, and I'm a Bruin, and well, talk is cheap.
There's plenty of guys that wanted to retire.
Talk is cheap. Marchessault was supposed to retire in Vegas.
I mean, Joe Pavelski was supposed to retire in San Jose. He was on Dallas. I mean, Patrick Marleau was supposed to retire in San Jose. He was he spent the last 2 years of his career in fucking Pittsburgh, or was it Boston?
Actually,
Toronto, right?
Actually, he did retire in San Jose.
But he came back.
He came back.
That's what I mean.
But yeah, he went to Toronto and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Joe Thornton.
Joe Thornton. Yeah. Yeah. Florida. He went to Florida.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah.
So, like I said, talk is cheap. Again, Boston needs to get younger. We have 1 or 2 chips and some draft picks we could throw their way.
You could send, like you said, them both Brisson and Holtz and a second, and like they.
And I don't know. We keep mentioning those 2 because those are the ones that we want to get rid of the most. But let's be real. I think fucking. Oh shit.
But
I think Korzak is probably in play.
Korzak,
Connolly's probably in play.
Cormier, now that he's back.
Yeah, so we do have a lot. We do have prospects.
Yeah, we have prospects in the cupboard.
But anyways,
Schmidt could be in play too. They need some youth in goaltending now.
Yeah, so they still don't have an extension. Vegas reportedly interested. The big thing is Cassidy and Marchand reportedly have a really good relationship.
Yes.
Despite rumors of Cassidy being difficult to play for.
He's had his best
his best seasons of his career were under Cassidy.
I fucking love him.
Yeah.
You're telling me that he
was great in Four Nations.
Yeah, you wouldn't want the fucking Rat King playing with guy. He could play anywhere in the lineup.
No, exactly.
Like he could play on the first line, the second line.
And he does have that leadership, and like as we saw in the Four Nations, I don't know if you watched like the mic'd up and the behind the scenes stuff. Like he was a great teammate. He had no problem deferring to the other guys and saying, I want to win, so I'm going to play a role. You
don't think Eichel would want to play with the guy that he watched when he was in Boston? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you think Mark Stone doesn't want to play with his Team Canada teammate?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that come up, and a lot of Vegas fans' first reaction that goes, "Ew, why would we want him?" I'm like, you say that because
you want that guy on your team.
You say that because he's not on your team. If he was on your team, you'd be going, "Oh, I get it now." Like, look at the Four Nations. We don't like Matthew Tkachuk. We don't like Brady Tkachuk. We were cheering for fucking Matthew and Brady Tkachuk.
Exactly, and we saw exactly what they brought,
And like, I even saw it from like Canadian fans. They're like, "Am I cheering for fucking Brad Marchand right now?" Like,
yeah.
This is absurd.
You need those physical, pesty,
especially in the playoffs.
Nasty,
You don't think
guys that are really good at doing as much shit between the whistles that they can.
You don't think that in a series against because we've talked about this before, but in a series against the Oilers, that Jesus, they just scored immediately. They just fucking held them in.
Damn.
But you don't think that in a series against the Oilers, putting a guy like that out to fucking mess with McDavid and Draisaitl's not going to get under their skin and get in their heads and lead them to give us dump.
Oh yeah, he would just be fucking. Him and Draisaitl will just be fucking beanbagging each other the whole series,
and it's going to lead to us getting power plays, and our power plays been better than theirs this year.
Yeah, crazy to think of, but yeah.
I think that's a great
perfect playoff guy.
Yes,
leader, great teammate.
You could re-sign him if he's having a good time.
Yeah, give him like a 2-year deal or something. Yeah. I think he would fit perfectly.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's be real, it would be hilarious to find a way to somehow become even more hated.
And having Brad
imagine the reaction of hockey fans if Vegas wins their second cup in 3 years and Brad Marchand's our fucking Conn Smythe winner.
Is Brad Marchand skating that cup down the ice in a Vegas sweater?
Beauty.
It'd probably give fucking Dallas Stars fans literal fucking aneurysm.
Yeah, so he is probably my most wanted.
Yeah.
But I recognize there's some difficulties there.
It's a lot to do. Yeah, there's a lot to do there.
Yeah, but then again, fucking we've seen the shit Boston management does. We saw how ugly the Swayman shit got. Like they take,
Cam Neely and
they take contract shit seriously.
Yeah, Cam Neely and what's his name?
Don Sweeney.
Don Sweeney, like that whole Swayman thing was a shit show, and they would just say, go fuck yourself, Brad. I'm not giving you any more money.
Yeah,
like it's within their wheelhouse. Like I'm not defending Jeremy Swayman either because I feel like in everything I've seen,
I don't like the way he handled
it
that
terribly, but they handled it also really bad too.
Yeah, it's really just two bad parties being bad to each other.
Two teenage girls fighting for a few months.
Yep, exactly.
But what's your second pie in this guy? What's your second wish list?
My final guy. And I will make a justification as to how it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
He would be a fucking beauty on our top 6. Imagine this guy playing with Jack Eichel.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Besser.
Oh, yeah, I would love it.
So, I know it does not seem likely. Let me throw down my argument here. So, the Canucks lost last night, as we mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost almost every game, except for one, I think, since the Four Nations break.
They weren't playing well going into the break either.
Yeah. And then Quinn Hughes left the game early last night injured.
Yeah, they have no goaltending.
Yep, exactly. Demko's apparently fucking done because why else would you sign Kevin Lincoln into that deal?
Yeah. Shilovs has been awful.
Yeah. So basically, Vancouver's spinning their tires. I don't think...
He's a UFA, right?
Who?
He's going to... Brett Besser.
Yes, he is. So he's a UFA. I should have mentioned that.
Too.
He's making 6.65
so
million.
Very similar to Marchand.
Exactly. So again, if Theodore is on IR, get some retention involved, bring in a third player, a third party to launder some money.
Send it's
doable.
Couple future high picks.
We've pulled off more difficult shit.
Yeah, I mean, look what we did with Hurdle. Look what we did with Hanfin.
Exactly. So I'm not saying it's likely to happen. I'm saying it could happen. Also, he is kind of having a down year, so that might drive his value down.
Mm-hmm.
And also, earlier this week, news came out that contract extension talks are not going well.
They're probably asking him to take a deal.
No, they are. I think they were going to give him 8 by 5,
what?
And he wanted 8 by 8 or something. Like he wanted more, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying we would extend this guy,
but you want him to take a pay cut to be there longer? That's absurd.
Yeah. So contract talks aren't going well, and they're not going well in the sense that the player is rejecting the offers.
Yeah, I would reject that too.
And we've all seen how good this guy can be. Like he's a cold-blooded killer.
He's a 30+ goal scorer.
Yeah, he's a sniper.
Great shot. Yeah.
Strong puck skills. He can be great on the power play.
Mm-hmm.
Our power play has been good, but hey, if we can spread shit out between the two units, even better.
Yeah, could you imagine PP1 of the same way it is now, and then PP2's got fucking Brock Besser, Bryden Sod, Carlson.
Yeah, we can instead of having one unit play like a minute 45 seconds.
Yeah, you can split it.
You can split it, and that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it will be in the playoffs when those guys are tired and Jack Eichel's fucking carrying the team on his back.
Yeah, he's playing 25 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah, playing PP1, PK1, fucking.
Yeah,
all the shit that we used to criticize Edmonton for.
No, I like it. I like it.
And just imagine him having a facilitator like fucking Jack Eichel.
Yeah,
the way Eichel's playing this year.
Elias Pettersson.
Elias Pettersson's fucking ghost.
He has one. I think I saw a stat since being back from the Four Nations, and his coach telling him shoot more.
He has one shot on goal.
One shot on goal
saw that
in
too.
4 games. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. There goes $11 million down the fucking drain. Plus that shit into the Pacific.
I saw this post on Reddit today that cracked me up where I was like, guys, like, is it possible that Elias Pettersson's going through this because he is losing? He has male pattern baldness and it's making him depressed. And like, I feel like that had to have been a joke, but the guy was being dead serious. Where he's like, well, when I was about his age, I started losing my hair too, and he's like, let me tell you, he's like, I was so depressed, I didn't want to look in the mirror. My everyday tasks became impossible. Like, he's like, it's really hard to lose your hair at that age. And he's like, and I've noticed, Petey, he's been thinning on top since he was like 23. He's like, and it's really starting to come to a head. And he's like, and honestly, I think this performance is just because he's going bald. I was like, damn.
Jesus. I mean,
so I'm not saying that's why, but point being,
I don't think that's the case.
Who the fuck is Besser playing with right now? Pettersson. Who's even their second line center right now? Fucking. We said this the other night, and then, God, it's
Jake DeBrusk. No, he's a winger.
Yeah, it's one of those guys where you always forget that he's on the team, which is not a good sign for your second line center.
Teddy Blueger is like playing like their second or third line, third or fourth line.
I think he's Is
it P.S. Suter?
It is P. Suter. One of those guys that you kind of forget exists.
Yeah. Which Suter is it? It's the European one. Pontius Pilate.
Yeah. Pontius Pilate Suter.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, I like all of those. I mean, I think they're all, and those are all ones that are doable, right? And they're not like you're not breaking the bank on
Mikko just put Stone on LTIR. Haha, bring in Mikko Rantanen.
No, Stone's actually having a very good season. He's not going to go on it, and because you would have to put him on it by fucking Thursday.
Yeah.
So I think we have a better chance of Theodore being an LTIR. But yeah, I think those are all super doable. And talking about trades and talking about prospects, we haven't talked about the Silver Knights in a little while.
Yeah,
they did lose last night, but the Barracuda are pretty good, and they're losing right now. I think 0-2.
Fuck.
But they are, as of today, 13-5 in the last 18 games.
Damn.
Carl Lindbaum has been great.
Yes.
Holtz has been really good since he's moved down.
Finally found a league he can score in.
The Kai Uchez, Mitch McLean, and I believe Braden Bowman line has been fantastic.
Braden Bowman's been great.
Braden Bowman's been really, really good.
Bones!
And then what else?
Bonesy!
Let's see. You sent me that lineup the other day. I'm sorry. Yeah, and they put Bowman in. And then Sapovilov's been really good.
Yep.
Cal Burke's been very good. Gage Quinney I think I saw he has 5 goals in 3 games or some crazy stat where he's like just lighting up the score chart. And then Cormier is back from his
that's the big news.
Extended absence.
That's the big news. Lucas Cormier is back. Season debut, baby.
He's obviously going to be a little slower, right? Oh, look, Ashley Weiss is in.
Who's reporting on our game? Because Shane 90 is also working this game.
What the hell? Who are we going to have?
Is our game? Is it an ESPN game?
It is an ESPN game.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Like, we're going to have literally, like, what? Just our Dave Go. They're probably going to spread them out. Like,
well, if it's ESPN, it's probably
no, we're
ESPN.
We're on ESPN Plus. We're not regular ESPN, so it's going to be our our announcers. We're not like on the actual ESPN channel.
Well, no, I'm looking. It says scripts.
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck?
So it's going to be like what, Millard, Gosher, and
Darren Elliott, the Olympian?
Yeah, the Olympian Darren Elliott. Or even, what's his name? Ryan,
the hockey guy? Ryan Wallace?
Ryan Wallace. What about, who calls,
Dan Duva?
Dan Duva. It could be a lot of people. It's I like how both our reactions like, Ashley Weiss, why is she there?
Well, 'cause when this game started, I saw, when they had the names up front. They said Shane Knighty. I was like, oh, Shane's playing this game or calling this game.
Yeah.
But he calls a lot of TNT and also Amazon's new Monday night thing.
Yeah, hockey.
So,
Monday
so I'm like,
night.
okay, you lose one person. But then I was like, Ashley's here too. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's weird. Maybe they didn't have their normal sideline person. Maybe their normal person was in Boston.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But I will say also, TNT, much like Vegas, has good, scouts for on-ice talent. We also have a great broadcast team.
Yeah.
And TNT is really good at finding...
They're good broadcasters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they have John Forsland and Eddie Olczyk calling a lot of games.
Great.
Shane is on there a lot. Fucking the panel obviously is great.
Yeah.
We're kind of on a tangent now, I guess. But TNT has a great product, so...
Go watch your show on TNT.
Basically, if they put Ashley on there, that means she's finally getting some recognition. So, hey, good for her.
Hey, just got the notification. Alexander Holtz score. Assist by Kalen Addison. 19 with 20 seconds left in the first period, 1-2. So it's within reach.
Kalen Addison has also been a fucking beast.
He's been really, really good. Because he was just basically nobody wants you. Go sign a PTO in the AHL. And he's turned out really good for us. And the team's just been good. I might be too little too late. I know they're, 6 or 7 points behind.
I'm still
Tucson.
maintaining the fantasy that we squeak in like on the last game or something.
It's possible. I mean, you could make the Pacific's weird. Like 9 teams, I think, make the playoffs, or 9 or 10 teams.
Strange car parked by there. I'm like, what are you doing in front of my house? What are you doing in front of my house?
9 or 10 teams make the playoffs in the Pacific, so they can still make it in. And I think they're pushing well and they're beating the good teams.
To me, it's just even if we don't make it in, it's just a relief that they
can win games.
Yeah, that we're just not in this embarrassing fucking
and it's also good for
black void of hockey.
It's also good for the future too, right?
Yeah,
it's good to say, hey, you guys have it in you. It came a little late and you're took a little while, but you guys can play really well. It's a good sign for next season.
Exactly, because I don't know if it would happen next year, or if he's going to stay in college. But like, you got exactly. You got to think, well, if you want Connolly playing in your system with your coaches and in your city with your culture, and eventually he'll probably play some games in Henderson, and you don't want that to happen when Henderson's just an embarrassing fucking tire fire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the guys that have been coming in too from the EC, like they brought Cholak up, and Cholak's looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got some guys that that will be coming up, and they'll play a little bit more. They just signed Trent Swick to a contract.
That's always nice.
The guy that we were talking about at the rookie camp that really stood out, like one of the last cuts.
Yeah, and he was like a 6th round pick, wasn't he?
He was 6th round or undrafted. He's like one of our last picks or undrafted, one of the two. But he's huge. He's like 6'6".
Yeah, it's
big guy.
When you see those guys get their ELC, it's good.
It's a good sign. Nice. He'll be playing in Henderson before the end of the year. I think it bodes well, and they're finally winning. I think it'll bode well, even better for next season. Being a better team and having everybody kind of a little bit more established together. I think they're in a good spot. And so tonight we're playing the Devils. And
New
I don't know if
Jersey.
you just saw it.
New Jersey.
Markstrom is back, and he's starting tonight.
Oh.
So maybe we can light him up on the first game.
I was going to say, well, hopefully he doesn't have a good game.
Yeah.
Or he might get a shutout.
I want to play a couple little games before we sign off.
Oh?
I'm going to play this one.
You got games on your phone, bro?
Do you have Minecraft on your phone?
Do you have games?
You got Roblox? I know we don't like cup odds in gambling, but I'm playing a little game. I'm gonna give you a team.
Gambling's bad, folks.
But gambling's bad. We're not telling you to gamble. This is the odds as set by the odds makers. I'm going to give you a team. I'm going to ask you, are they over or under us as cup favorites?
Okay, good. Because if you're going to start throwing numbers at me, I wasn't going to do well. But
No.
if it's just putting over or under, then I can do that.
Yeah. All right. Carolina Hurricanes.
Over.
Yes.
Because as discussed earlier, they just seemingly always have great odds, despite when you actually look at their roster, you're like, who the fuck are these people?
Yep. You were right. And let's look at another one. The Devils. We play them tonight.
That's difficult because they've kind of been like not good the second half of the year.
I will tell you that it's extremely close in these odds.
Okay, they always have a lot of hype though because people love young talent, even if the young talent hasn't done anything. Jack Hughes just had an awful tournament. I'm gonna say still over because people hate Vegas. Okay, well there we go.
There you go. The Minnesota Wild.
That's got to be under.
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say if that was over, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah. No.
Okay. The anti-Vegas sentiment is real here.
I'm going to give you one more, and I'll tell you who's everybody that's better than us right now. The Toronto Maple Leafs.
Got to be over.
They're over. So I'll give you in order.
With all that long history of playoff success, they got to be over.
I'll give you in order of.
Hey, they got Craig Berube.
Yeah, the team's
he's trained them all on how to injure people. So that's great.
I'm gonna give you in order of favorites. This is favorites top to bottom. So right now, you want to guess who the cup favorite is?
I swear to God, if it's Edmonton,
it's Edmonton.
I hate people so much after what we just witnessed.
We just watched fucking the Evan Bouchard masterclass in defense.
Yeah. Oh, God. This is why you don't gamble, folks.
So it's the Oilers are number 1. The Canes, number 2.
Canes are 2.
Yep. Stars are 3.
No Panthers yet?
Panthers are 4.
Okay.
The Jets are 5.
The number 1 team in the league is at 5, so
the Caps
that makes sense.
Are at 6, the number 2 team in the league.
Makes sense.
The Devils, then the Leafs, then the Avs, then the Golden Knights, and then right after the Golden Knights are the Lightning and the Kings, and then the odds get way higher, and then we get to the Wild, and then for some goddamn reason, the Rangers are still in this consideration.
Give me a fucking
break.
And
then you want to guess who the last team on this list is?
Is it out of all 32? Or
no,
just
out of these are the best odds. So
some teams aren't even ranked. Obviously.
No, yeah, not really. These are the best odds right now.
Best odds. So the bottom of the best odds, I'm going to say someone that has a chance of being in the play. I don't know, the Blues.
Nope, the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, well,
I could see it. I could see it more than the Rangers. They're in a better spot than the Rangers.
I would put them. I would put them ahead of the Rangers.
Yeah. But yeah, and then I also wanted to play one little game. It's I want you. You are a kind of a Vegas Golden Knight history whiz, and you know these numbers.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'll try.
I want you to. I've got the team leaders overall. What team leaders in their career in goals and assists.
Not just their Vegas career, their career overall?
Only with Vegas.
Okay.
So their career with Vegas, we'll do goals first. I've got the top 10 in both. Goals first, and then I want to go through those 10 each, see if you can get all 10 of them.
Okay.
All right. Let's do goals. Who do you think? Give me a name, and I'll tell you if you're on.
Leads Vegas in goals in Vegas history. Marchessault.
Marchessault's number 1.
Oh,
you want to go through all 10? Yeah.
Okay, okay. Marchessault 1. I'm gonna say Pacioretty 2.
Pacioretty's number 5.
Oh, okay. Carlson 2.
Carlson's 2.
Who's been here for a while and who scores a lot? Stone 3.
Stone is number 4.
Oh.
So you're missing number 3 out of the top 5.
3 out of the top 5. It can't be Jack already, can it?
Jack is number 6.
Okay. Is it someone where I'm going to see it and feel stupid?
Yes. Well, keep throwing out names.
Okay. Alex Tuck.
Alex Tuch is number 9.
Christ.
So you're missing 3, 7, 8, and 10.
Smith.
Smith is number 3.
Was that what I was missing?
Yep.
Okay.
Number 3. Whew. So you're missing 7, 8, and 10.
7, 8, and 10. You said Tuch was 6.
Tuch was 9.
Tuch was 9.
So Eichel was 6.
Eichel was 6.
2 of them are still on the team.
2 of them are still on the team.
One was on the Cup team, and I don't think you would expect this guy.
The one that was on the Cup team?
Yeah.
Shea Theodore?
Shea Theodore is number 8.
Oof.
So you've got 7 and 10.
7 and 10. Brandon Peary. No. Okay. 7 and 10.
Yep.
Is Paul Stastny 10?
Nope.
Fuck.
I'll give you one more guess for one of these guys.
Okay.
So one was on the Cup run and no longer on the team, and the other is still on the team.
Oh, Stevenson?
Is number 7.
Gotcha. And then 10, you said is on the team
Is
still?
on the team still.
Is it a forward?
Yes.
Yeah, that's difficult because
Yeah.
I feel like I've named all the big names
You want me
already.
to give it to you?
Yeah.
Nick Waugh.
I was going to say that, but then I was like, no fucking way.
Nick Waugh. So he has...
Because
he's
I was
number 10.
literally going down the lineup in my head, and I was like, wow, he's been here for a while, and
Yeah.
he chips in, but then I was like, no way.
Yeah, he has 60
Fuck.
goals in his career.
I should have just said it.
So it's Marshy's got 192, Carlson's got 159, Smith's got 124, Stone's got 104, Patches has 97, Eichel 91, Stevenson 75, Theo 73, Tuch 61, and Waugh 60.
Damn.
All right, let's do assists real quick. These
Top-
should be
top
pretty
10?
easy. Yeah.
Okay. Is Jack at number 1 already?
Nope, Jack is number 8 with 138 assists.
Oh, yeah, because it's career. So it's like,
Career.
no, he just broke Perron's record.
Yeah.
Career assists. Well, I'm assuming there's going to be some overlap with
There's
these
plenty of
offensive
overlap.
guys. So I'm going to say Carlson.
Is number 2.
1 is probably Marchessault again.
Marshall's number 3.
3 again. 3 is number 1.
So you've got 2, 3, and...
Oh, number
8.
1's probably Stone, right?
Nope. Stone's
What?
number 4.
Wow. Well, shit. Now I'm starting to feel a little puzzled here. Number 1 in their career. Patches?
Is number 9. Tied for 10th, actually. Tied for 9th, yeah.
Well, shit. Perron.
Nope. He's not even on the list.
Damn. Is number 1 still on the team?
Yes. In fact, number 1, number 7, and tied for 9th are all... The other one named tied for 9th are all still on the team.
Is number 1 Theodore?
Number 1 is Theodore.
Ah, I knew it.
By a large margin, too.
I knew it after guessing for 5 minutes.
He has 264 assists. Carlson's got 226.
Damn.
So
Fucking beast.
He's been producing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and tied for 9th. You're missing the 2 names tied for 5th, number 7, and the last name on the list.
Tied for 5th. One of them's going to be Chandler Stevenson.
Yes.
And the other is going to be Nick Waugh.
Nope.
Is he 10?
Nope.
Ah.
Not on the list.
Damn.
You said this man's name on the other list, and you said him pretty early.
Oh. I already said Pacioretty, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Plays
for the Rangers.
Oh, Riley Smith.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then number 7 and the last name on the list. Both defensemen. Should give you clues.
Petro.
Petro's number 7. You want to guess the last name? Still on the team.
McNabb?
Yep.
Wow.
Look
at him.
97 career assists with the Golden Knights.
Nice.
And I wanted to lead that into Braden McNabb is the goddamn cornerstone of this franchise.
He is. I still have to do it, but I decided my blank gray jersey, I'm getting McNabb on it.
He's gonna play his was it
800th game?
800th career game, 260 something game in a row tonight.
Yeah.
He is the cornerstone of that defense. He's not flashy. He doesn't do anything insane. He's just extremely good. Now this episode is Brandon McNabb is our god.
I thought you were going to say Brandon McNabb is extremely good.
He's extremely good. It just shows the longevity of the guy. And and I think we talked about him, had a Brandon McNabb glaze session in one episode where we went over his hits and his just overall performance.
Well, that and, the way that any new player, I love how every coach has always been like, well, let's put him with McNabb. McNabb will take care of him.
Oh, Holtzy scored. Oh, no, that's the same one. I thought Holtz scored again. I was like, Jesus
I was
Christ,
like,
That was the same notification. I didn't clear it. But, we're going to play the Devils tonight. I think it's a very winnable game.
It is, but they're also probably going to be pissed because of how that last game went with us.
Yeah, that's true.
They were pretty bad in that game.
Yeah, but they also played last night, and they beat Utah.
And it's an early game.
That's an early game, so they might have...
That's less than a 24-hour turnaround.
Yeah, they might have a little bit of a...
And is there a time change between here and Utah
this
time of year? Okay.
An hour, I think.
Okay, so we'll see.
Might be a little tired. We've had a couple days off. Hill's going to be starting, so hopefully we'll be going this game ready to win.
I hope so, because I don't want to think about going to work tomorrow.
I want to think about fun.
What would really make the day better is if Vegas won this game.
Oh yeah, my week
and
was
also
ruined when
5 or 6 ice cold beers.
Yeah, my week was ruined when the Kings beat us on Monday. I was just depressed.
It kind of set the tone, didn't it?
It set the tone for a terrible week.
It really, because I think I remember you texted the group chat. You're like, God, I'm just tired and depressed, and I was like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a hopefully good game to.
I just need a good game. We need to set the tone, Alex. We need to set the tone for this upcoming week.
Yep,
in a good way.
I don't want to go home at 8 p.m. tonight and look at myself in the mirror and be like, I hate this.
Yeah, I don't want to do that and then look at the weather and be like,
it's gonna be 80 goddamn degrees.
I'm not ready to turn my AC back on.
No,
I'm not ready.
I don't want to spend $300.
Exactly. I was gonna say I'm not ready for my power bill to go up.
I want to spend $350 on AC in fucking March.
God, kill me.
It's March 2nd only, guys. It's already 80 degrees.
Hey, look at the bright side.
Stay gold.
Well, this kind of rolls into that, but St. Patrick's Day coming up. St. Patrick's Day Festival, Water Street. Be there.
Be there. Get drunk. We'll be there. We'll be shit-faced.
I'm going to go to the parade, and I've already decided that I'm really going to commit to getting drunk this year.
Hell yeah.
Usually I don't.
We're like every year we're going to...
Because it's hard to get drunk at a beer garden, because they're just selling Guinness. I'm like, it's hard to get drunk. It's only 4.5%.
Victoria and I bought these green pot of gold plastic cups.
Mm-hmm.
Has a screw top. It's where it's 40 ounces.
Goddamn.
So we're going to fill that up with a drink and just wear it around our necks.
I do have a flask, and I was just planning on filling it with Irish whiskey and just hitting the flask.
Yeah.
Old school.
So what are they going to do? Stop you and ask you what's in it?
Not exactly. And then, we'll just hang out, and there'll be a car show, and we can walk up and down and go to Mojave, and, I don't really want to support them, but if Johnny Max has their little window bar open, I'm sure I'll stumble up and get a drink there. And,
yeah. Fun times.
Yeah, fun times. St. Patrick's Day.
Be in Henderson.
You know what you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna find the gold at the end of the rainbow.
Until next time, until the trade deadline, we'll have to be on here right after the trade deadline happens.
Yep, we'll do that.
A little trade deadline review. But until then, stay gold. Have a good week. Don't listen to our despair.
Stay gold and try not to get fired by Elon Musk.
Bye.
Bye.